Greetings, honorary Uggs, better known as Hugs. Thank you for downloading another episode of The Ugly Truth. The Uggs have been bringing you their dose of the truth for over 3 years now, and the show has been steadily growing. Now we're ready to get even bigger. So, if you could do us a solid and share our show on social media with your friends, leave reviews, or give us a thumbs up on your favorite podcast player, we'd really appreciate it. Thanks. Now, on with the show. It's time for another hilarious episode of The Ugly Truth, starring your favorite sisters with no filters. Here are the Uggs. Jamie.
Hi dear, would you like an extraction?
Paula.
I don't care what kind of hippy-dippy bullshit you're into.
Uncensored as always, it's time for The Ugly Truth.
Welcome to The Ugly Truth. It is episode 153. Ugh. I'm actually quite surprised at myself because my mouth feels like it's wearing a sweater.
Oh.
I have the worst allergies ever right now. But, you know, Tyler and I, this is the time of year where we just suffer through. And then once it starts getting hot fairly consistently, then suddenly I'm great. So I've just got to get through this spring hay fever garbage. But anyway, so welcome to The Ugly Truth, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day, post St. Patrick's Day. I hope you all enjoyed your Irish whiskeys and corned beef and cabbage. I already made mine, so we enjoyed it. We are recording before St. Patrick's Day because, as we'll get on later on in the show, producer Deb and I are going to Anaheim for a special trip. But before we get started, Paula, how are you?
I'm good.
Are you?
I think so. I think so.
I think I'm okay.
Every time I say that, though, something bad happens. So, I mean, you know, I think I'm good for now. But
we'll see
what happens in 5 minutes.
The only thing left that can happen is like limbs will start falling off of your body.
Well, you never know.
That's literally all that's left for you. So
Really?
Hopefully not. So speaking of the time change, I had a really bizarre dream this morning.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to tell you about it because it was really funny. Not haha funny, actually. But I dreamt very vividly I was cracking an egg open, a chicken egg. I was cracking an egg open and I was separating the yolk from the whites. And I was letting the whites fall into a bowl of rice.
Okay.
And I'm like, I woke up and I went, do I look this up now or do I remember and look it up later? Because that felt incredibly symbolic. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But this one absolutely felt symbolic to me. So, of course, you know, I looked it up, right? I looked up the parts of an egg and rice because I was curious what it meant. And so apparently to see an egg yolk represents life, ideas, and creativity, which is okay.
I did know that about eggs.
I did not. And then it says to dream of only the egg whites, which I kind of didn't, but I did because I was separating them into rice, refers to your support system in your new endeavor. It is also symbolic of your comfort zone and knowing your limitations. I don't even understand what that means, like, whatsoever.
Yeah, that's weird. I've never heard of that.
Me neither. And then rice means luck. So maybe my limitations are inhibiting my luck, and yet I have life and I don't know. It was very, very Chinese.
Yeah, really.
It felt very Chinese to me.
Sounds like just a big old fortune cookie.
Right? That's what I was thinking. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but I'm not going to read the 4 paragraphs about it. But I'm like, wow, eggs are very symbolic. And I thought it would be fertility, but apparently it's not.
Well, usually that's what eggs are, fertility.
Yeah, I thought so too, but it said something like, to see cracked or broken eggs represents vulnerability, blah, blah, blah. But there's nothing about fertility. The only thing that represents fertility is nothing. Nothing that I dreamt of anyway. So I'm like, well,
maybe eggs. I think eggs actually do represent fertility. Actually, that's what because new life, usually eggs represent new life. Mm-hmm. And the rice means luck. So maybe it means like you guys are going to get incredibly lucky and have a baby.
No, that's
you
not
never
happening.
know. Maybe Daryl is going to be like a superhuman and like the tubes are going to reattach themselves.
Well, we had that scare about 10 or 11 years ago. And I had, this is so funny. I had a UTI. And I was like, rat, yuck. And so I went and I had you go to the doctor and you pee in the cup and then they say, yes, you have a UTI. Here's your antibiotics. Well, she came in and she says, is there any way you could be pregnant? And I said, no, why? And she said, well, we found dead sperm in your urine. I'm like, excuse me?
What were those doing in there?
And the variety of things that came out of my mouth after that were like, number one, my husband is fixed. Number two, I am a clean person, and even if my husband wasn't fixed, there would not be dead sperm in my urine. I mean, It was like offensive to me. She goes, listen, if your husband has had the procedure, she wasn't going to call him, she was not going to say he was neutered or fixed, but she's like, you need to go. First of all, they ran a pregnancy test. I wasn't pregnant, and he had to go and do a sperm sample at the urologist, Dr. Gottlieb.
Oh my gosh.
To make sure that things were still on the up and up.
So how did they get in there?
Well, they said that it's very possible that there was remnants and they just, came out.
Oh, I got from so this was shortly after he had the procedure.
Not really. And I wasn't fooling around either. So it's like, I don't even, it was a really random thing. That's why she said you really need to have that checked out. And I was pissed. I called Daryl on the way home and I'm like, listen to me, man. Get to the doctor. Because I was having none of it.
You were on DEFCON orange or something.
I was freaking out. And I said, well, I won't be back, I hope. So, yeah, it sucked. But so, no, there won't be any babies. No miracles. Nothing of that nature. I mean, I do love babies. And every time I see a baby video, it makes me want to just have 100 babies. But
God, what if somebody else close to you is going to start having babies?
Well, if an egg represents good luck, it's not going to be any of my children.
Well, you better hope not.
Maybe
you better
be you.
Start having. Yeah, right. You better start having the talk with some of your kids.
We have a very open relationship when it comes to those things. Absolutely. Okay. But what was weird is that the dreams are so bizarre, and it's because my sleep cycle is completely screwed up.
Well, when you said that you had the dream, I'm like, oh, I probably was awake for it because I stayed awake until 4 o'clock in the morning the other night.
Okay, the time change this year has been really bizarre, and I don't know why. Sometimes the adding of a daylight savings time, although tired, I'm usually able to just, acclimate and move on with my life. This has been an unusually strange year for me. I don't know about you, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, so here was the complete... So when it comes to dinner time, if ever we gauged dinner time based on when I was hungry, no one would ever eat.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's how it is.
It is how that is, yes.
So... I don't know if I had been at the store or if I was just bopping around doing random things or whatever, but I said something and I'm just like, no, I'm like, it's only 5:30. And Victor's like, no, it's 6:30. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, look at this clock. And he says, the time changed. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm just like, are you guys hungry for dinner? I'm like, so I started making dinner. So of course we didn't eat until almost, 8 o'clock or something.
Yeah, we've been doing the late dinners too.
And then for whatever reason, I wound up staying. We all stayed up, and the kids stayed up till 11:30, which was ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
And then I wound up staying until almost 4 o'clock in the morning. And now, granted, it would have been 3 o'clock in the morning ordinarily.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I just was wide awake, and I don't know why. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous just anyways, Paula. I'm like, this has nothing to do with the time change. Like, what are you doing? I'm like,
go to bed. Yeah.
Turn off Grey's Anatomy. Go to bed. Stop what you're doing. This is crazy.
I get so resentful when we have to do this damn time change because now I may be wrong and I'm not going to Google it right now, but from what I understand, the reason that we even have a time change is because of farming. Back in the day when there was no electricity and they needed the extra daylight and they needed the extra daylight when winter was over. And I totally get it.
No wonder Arizona doesn't follow it. There's nothing to crop there, but
they don't
cactus.
grow anything over there. So, and when it turns dark, the cattle go to sleep. That's all they do. I mean, do they even have cattle there? I think they die. It's so hot.
They have rocks and cacti.
So they harvest cactus?
I don't even know what they do. I don't really know what Arizona has.
Other than the no time change and a lot of saloons, and I think Tombstone is there.
Well, no, they have Phoenix. Phoenix is a huge town, and Scottsdale, and
in the farming days, apparently the farmers would look forward to the extra daylight hours so they could do more farming, and it just never went away. Thanks, Benjamin Franklin, for this.
Right.
Thank you. Because this really freaking sucks for the rest of us. Now that we have, indoor plumbing and lights, it would be nice to just eliminate the whole thing. I personally think it's a lazy thing. I don't think the government wants to waste their time changing it, number one. And number two, if we could get the country to unite on this, I think we could do anything. If we could just all gather together and say, no more daylight savings time, or keep it the way it is right now and not change it in the fall.
I really think it's just a matter of omitting it on the calendars.
Yeah.
Just stop printing it on there.
Tell Apple to unprogram the change on the phones and we'll just all be so much more rested. Really.
That's all it is. It's just a time zone thing, right?
And it's almost like, don't you feel like you're obligated to complain about it publicly now? It's like, it happens, we're all struggling with our own issues with the time change. And then there's the arrogant fools from Arizona who go, I don't know what you guys are talking about. We're fine. It's like everybody's required to comment somehow.
I don't even know if I have friends in Arizona. But, I mean, actually, they probably just stay quiet because they're just like, well, we don't really relate.
Oh, I have a couple of Arizona friends who love to rub it in.
Oh, do they?
Oh, God. It's like, I don't know why you guys are so... It's like, you know what? You used to live here, bitch. So stop it.
Yeah,
you know exactly how brutal this is.
That's probably true. Yeah, I know it. And it is unpleasant. And actually, we're really spoiled right now because the kids are off track. They're not even in school, so they didn't even have to wake up like super early the next day for school or anything like that.
I see. To me, and it was funny because you go through all these negotiations when the time change hits. You're like, if I just scheduled my vacation, or if they scheduled spring break to hit all along the same time period, it wouldn't be so brutal. But the problem is that ultimately you're going to have to face the alarm and your body's not going to be acclimated. You're just putting off the inevitable. So it's like
true.
Monday comes after your vacation or your spring break, 6:30 rolls around and it still feels like 5:30.
I can stay up till 4 a.m., but I know at some point I will have to wake up at 6:30 to
it's
take
gonna
them
happen.
to school. Inevitably.
It's gonna happen.
Inevitably. I will have to pay it back.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, so yes, I think we're in agreement. We hate it, and I wish it would just go away forever. And maybe it will someday. I don't know. I hope to live to see that day. Even if it's my last day. It'd be awesome.
I know. Watch that. That actually will happen. The time will change and then you'll die.
I know. You know what? Okay. I don't. Okay. So like I said, I've been a little rummy like all the time. So last night, I hadn't seen it in a really long time. Amazon's doing they're doing the Shetland pony commercial again.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Little man.
Yes, I
when
did
you
notice
stand by my side, I can do anything. I freaking love that. I love it. Bum, 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 bum. And now I think about you every time I see it.
I know, you're so funny. So, okay, this is completely off subject. We rented, it's a Disney movie. It's the newest one. It's called The Little Dinosaur, I think it was called.
Oh, God, that's already out on DVD?
It is. Okay, so we hadn't even seen it yet, but someone told us, don't watch it. What? And I'm like, why? And they're like, because it's so sad. And I'm just like, oh, I said, let me guess. I'm all, does one of the parents die? And they're like,
the mother dies.
They're like, the dad dies, actually.
The dad dies? Oh, that's new.
The father dinosaur dies. And then there's a little boy in it, too. And I'm just like, oh, what happened to his family? And they're like, oh, he just doesn't end up having one. I guess they were all killed. And I'm just like, what is it with Disney? Why do they hate parents? Why does Disney hate parents? Like, I really want to know.
Well, they've always hated mothers. They've always killed off the mother, and I think they do that because children would never be put in the danger that they are in Disney movies if the mother was around.
Right.
And so they have to eliminate the protector because that's pretty much the one that would be like, you are not going into the jungle. Are you insane?
Right?
Get in this house.
I mean, a mother would never let their child be raised by wolves.
Ever.
Or, anything like that. But
No.
I don't understand Disney's hard on for, killing off parents and literally just making movies as sad as possible.
Do you recall Nemo's mother? She died.
I know.
If it wasn't for Nemo, if Nemo's mother had been alive, he would never have touched the butt.
So the reason why I got so angry is at the end of the movie, the little dinosaur and the little boy, they basically go their separate ways because they know they can't stay friends forever. The little boy gets adopted basically by this other Neanderthal family.
Sure.
And the little dinosaur goes off and finds his mother and brothers and sisters. And so they are basically never going to see each other again. And so my son starts crying.
Oh my God.
Because he's so moved, but he's mostly sad. And I get pissed because
Did you write a strongly worded letter to
I am
Pixar?
so mad because I'm just like, you know what? I am sick and fucking tired of Disney's bullshit with their killing off mothers and breaking hearts all the time. And, just because it's fucking Disney. And I'm just like, this is it. I'm like, I've had it. This is crap.
Well, I will say this. Okay, that's really... Okay, you've been kind of a Debbie Downer every time you bring something up. And it's like, I realize that is true. However, most Disney movies end in a happy ending. This movie got horrible reviews, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And that's probably why. Because there was...
I would guess.
Do you not recall A Land Before Time? I mean, that thing was a gut punch.
Terrible. I wouldn't... never see that movie ever again.
What? That was one of your favorite movies ever. We wore that thing out.
Well, I'm sure it was probably a ray of sunshine in our little, land, considering our upbringing.
I think you just loved Littlefoot. I think it was just, I think you're reading... I mean, I do understand, but you also have to understand that you can't have the mom because then nothing would happen. And I think that's why they eliminate a parent. At least they're not eliminating both. I mean, they used to eliminate both.
I just don't understand why why every one of their movies has to go there. That's just what I don't understand. Why can't it ever be just, like...
Toy Story's not like that.
There's always some sort of sadness, though.
Yeah, but that's...
like, at the
okay, listen, Joy. Because people are allowed to experience other feelings besides, the saccharine of life. They're being more realistic, and it's probably a way for kids to experience it with being able to... Although I will say most Disney movies, you leave happy. You don't leave sad. It's a happily ever after ending almost, I'd say 90% of the time in those movies. Even Up, one of the saddest movies on the planet that makes grown men cry, ends on a high note. So I think it's just this movie. It's horrible.
I would just slightly disagree. I say the endings are bittersweet. They leave you happy, but it's like there's still a little piece of thorn in your side because...
Well, that's reality.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like, yes, you leave happy, but there's still that residual little bit of, yeah, but he still lost his house. Like... Ariel became a human, but she still had to leave her family.
Well, that's normal.
It's just like, it can never actually be. And I'm just saying, like, why do kids really need this taste of reality? Like, why can't it ever just all really just be good and happy? Like
because
Pixar.
It's boring. Because that is boring.
Pixar does a good job.
Well, then you need to let your children watch Sesame Street, although that gets pretty depressing as well. Don't forget when Mr. Hooper died. I mean, we were all... very saddened by that.
Mr. Hooper had a heart attack. Heart attack. Who made up that song? Was it us?
You did. You did. You made it. You fashioned it after Olivia Newton-John.
Even I had a hard time grasping with that reality.
Well, anyway, you've taken a quite serious tone in the last few weeks, and I think this is just putting it on the pile of seriousness in your life.
I was very angry that Disney made my son cry. It was upsetting.
Well, yes, but I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, it's okay for him to have emotions watching television. It's all right.
The Ugly Truth podcast will always be free, so we appreciate you supporting the show by shopping on Amazon via our links on uglytruth.com. Here's Jamie with her Amazon pick of the week.
It's hard to fathom, but there are people out there that don't have Amazon Prime. And some you may even know. Maybe they ask for your login information so they can watch exclusive programming like Mozart in the Jungle or Transparent. Well, it's time. It's time to give the gift of Prime so they too can know your joy of free 2-day shipping, instant streaming of movies, Amazon exclusive television shows, and unlimited music. And just think of this. Every time they click add to cart, they will think of you. Give the gift of Amazon Prime.
You can get this deal and literally anything you could ever want from Amazon and support our show at the same time by visiting uglytruth.com/shop. Thanks for helping out the truth. Let's get back to the show.
Little man, when you stand by my side, then I know I don't have to hide from anyone.
So, speaking of Disney, apparently you're just going to go ahead and blow all sorts of money on this, sad train.
Paula.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No. I love my child. Here's the thing. We are recording really early, actually, from the last time we recorded. But we're doing this because producer Deb and I are going to Anaheim for our daughter, who's a cheerleader. And these are their national Western Division, whatever, final competition of the year. And it's in Anaheim at the Anaheim Convention Center. And of course, there will be a group trip where they'll spend the whole day and evening at Disneyland as a team and, all this other stuff. But we're leaving during the week, flying in, which already creates anxiety for me because I'm flying with my child, which I absolutely not a fan of.
Right.
I can't be my normal ridiculous self. I can't cry at takeoff and landing, unfortunately. Actually, I only cry when we take off now. I don't cry when we land.
No, landing to me is a relief, honestly.
Yes, it's like we cannot land fast enough. But taking off when we're ascending, I'm always crying.
I always just assume I'm going to die at that point.
Yeah, I assume it's going to plummet right back down. Tons and tons of metal.
Especially when they start turning, I'm like, here we go.
Here we go. This is the end.
This is how. That's exactly
this
what
is how I'm going to
think.
go. I know. And after Mom's emergency landing in Phoenix last month, I'm not exactly thrilled about the prospect, but,
Right.
I got to do it. So we're doing this, but we're going for it'll be 4 days. So we're checking in at one hotel that's close to the convention center.
That's a long time with a lot of girls, huh?
Well, we're not going to be with them a lot, actually. Malia has the dinner on Thursday night, and then they don't do their first competition until Friday night at 9 at night. And so we'll have all day Friday, and then Saturday she spends with her team in Disneyland, and then Sunday they perform their final competition to get the final ranking. But
Wow.
we don't know when that is, and then that's it. Most people are leaving Monday morning or Sunday night, but because it's leading right into her spring break, we haven't taken Malia to Disneyland since she was like 3 or 4. She's 15 now. So producer Deb specifically was like, we should just extend it and we should stay. And so now we're checking into the Disneyland Hotel on Sunday and we're leaving Tuesday morning to do that. So for me, when you have little ones like you do, it comes with its own brand of hell. But there's enough of it that you can really lose yourself, really get into the fantasy. Everything's magical and you see the characters and it's just, you don't even remember the horrific lines or the heat or the $15 sandwich that they took 2 bites of.
Right.
You forget all about that. You forget about all of that because the memories are so amazing. But now, for me, it's like I told Daryl, because, he does love Disney. I mean, he just does. And, I don't love it as much as he does.
Right.
There are things that I'm excited about, but there are things that I'm already like trying to calculate how much walking we're going to be doing. And it's going to be like 89 degrees on Friday.
Wow.
He wants to get the 4-day hopper pass so that we can just do everything and not feel rushed. And I'm like, really? Do we really need to do the 4-day? Because I mean, That's a lot of Disney. That's a lot of Disney.
Isn't that kind of a waste of money considering how much you guys are going to be busy with other activities?
No, because first of all, Malia's going to need it anyway, so she can spend the day with her team on Saturday. And because she won't be with us on Saturday, we'll have a chance to do stuff that she would rather die than do at Disneyland.
Oh, like maybe at California Adventure or something?
Yeah, and Daryl wants to see all the Star Wars stuff and all that.
Okay.
And so, they're very excited.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
as a parent, I guess as a mother, maybe this is why they kill them off, because I'm just thinking about all the responsibility, all of the time, all of the clothing that needs to be packed, the just the whole management of the trip. It's someone's got to be the one in charge. We all can't wander around looking up at the stars and the lights and go, oh, isn't this wonderful?
Right.
Someone's gonna be hungry and someone's gonna have to pee eventually.
Exactly.
That's going to land on mom at some point.
Don't you just love that? Wouldn't it be nice? This is what I say to Victor all the time. I'm like, it must be nice just to walk into a room and start barking questions and just someone always having an answer.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I wonder what that's like.
I wish I could have that, where I could just walk in and be like, where are my keys?
Yeah.
Where are my where's that paper I was holding yesterday?
Yes.
Like I wish I had that kind of, concierge service available to me at any given moment.
Wouldn't it be lovely? So, maybe that's why we love staying in hotels.
Probably.
So that we don't have to think.
We can actually purchase that service
Right.
for a small price.
For a fee, but at least it's there and we can just unlock our brain for 5 minutes. So, I think about all of those things. And of course, Daryl is like, don't be so worked up about it. It'll be fun. We're going to have such a good time, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes, there will be good times. I'm not going to ruin the trip or anything.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be Buzz Killington.
No, I'm not going to do that. But I'm just saying that I don't like people. And we're going to where millions of people go every day, all day, forever. It's like the mail. There's never an end of streams.
Is it safe to assume you're not going to be riding the submarine ride again?
Oh, my God. I learned my lesson the last time we went. When was that? Oh, it was a few years ago. That's right.
Isn't that didn't you and who
Yes.
went that time? Was
Daryl and I did go because he wanted to surprise me.
It was just the two of you, right?
Yes, and we got in the sub and people started taking off their shoes.
No, it was the guy riding. It was the guy who was
the captain.
the carny or whatever, and he was
the ride operator.
He was the only one wearing loafers with no socks, and he kept
take
taking his
it.
shoe off.
There's going to be a lot of that, and yeah, that is not something I'll be looking forward to. When you have kids, like when you ultimately get, because I know you'll get to Disneyland before the kids are in high school.
One day,
You will.
It's. We were so close. We were really close this year, and it just. What can I say?
Well, shit happens.
We're getting off track, but I mean, I think you'll have a good time. I think that you just, but I agree, especially as kids get older, there isn't that, you don't see that first look of magic in their eye. So, I mean, it's kind of different, but I mean, there probably is some excitement in seeing the look of fun on Daryl and Malia's face.
That's what I was going to say, is that Daryl's going to be wild-eyed and excited. He's already looking up stuff. He goes, honey, we have to see the new parade. And I said, all right, why is that? He goes, look what they're doing. And I'm like, wow, that's really exciting. A bunch of lights. Okay. I mean, and I told him today, I said, look, I'm trying not to be negative. It's not that I don't want to go. I'm excited to see Malia cheer. It's going to be a huge crowd. It's going to be super fun. It's like her nationals. It's going to be great. Anaheim's beautiful. The weather's going to be amazing. All of that stuff is going to be super fun. But I'm just hoping that I can tolerate the tourists like people at Disneyland for 3 days. I just don't. That's kind of my concern.
Well, the thing is they probably would enjoy a little daddy-daughter time anyway. So, I mean, maybe you could just
about that.
You could probably just kick it at the hotel. I mean, maybe they even have a spa. Go get like facial or something, and
maybe Snow White does facials.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe Cinderella comes in and goes, "Hi, dear. Would you like an extraction?" It's like, yes. Would that be great? God.
That is so funny. But I mean, you could probably do something, just mill around the hotel, for a few hours or just, kick it in the room and watch bad TV or, who knows? Just doing nothing but just not being at Disneyland and letting them, just, Instagram it up and seeing all their little fun times and letting them go run around like two little chipmunks.
That actually happened the one time where we took all the kids. Mackenzie got really, really sick. And so she was in the hotel and I stayed with her, and Daryl and Tyler went and stayed, and they closed the park down. And they had a blast.
How fun.
Yeah. So hopefully there will be time for that. Because you know what? I already told Daryl, I said, 5 days of no solitude. I'm going to be a basket case. Like, I don't know how this is going to work. It's going to be a struggle for me, especially right now. I'm like anxiety ridden to the hilt. Everything is bothering me, and I'm not being a bitch about it. I'm just saying that it's like I'm like an OCD mess lately. And so I think it's because of the traveling, honestly, because now I'm thinking, God, I'm never going to get any alone time. I'm going to be constipated. I'm not going to even be able to go to the bathroom.
Well, you might try and take care of the situation now, so that way, it's only 4 days worth. I mean, that's not that bad.
I've done it.
I mean, and honestly, if you're like me, you don't eat that much when you travel anyway.
I mean,
when you and I went to Reno, I mean, kind of honestly, between the two of us, we ate like 3 whole meals.
Did either one of us even poop that weekend?
No,
I didn't.
I think the only thing we actually ate was fruit and water.
And you got sick, but you didn't get diarrhea. Did you? I don't think you did.
I think I actually did right before the show. I made it happen.
That's so
because
funny.
I'm just like, I'm not going to be churning like this the whole night.
I'm not going to have whales singing in my stomach.
Especially because I was wearing all that Spanx. And so I'm just
God.
I'm just like, I'm not going to be holding in this Scud missile and this
That would have
Spanx.
been awful.
It's not going to happen.
Actually, speaking of, I don't know what I was thinking. Rayleigh's has a great bakery, this grocery store.
Okay.
The other day we were there and they had carrot cake, and I've been kind of craving carrot cake. I love it. Not always, but just sometimes. And Daryl said, oh, look they have that carrot cake. And so the lady was just putting them in the little display. And I said, yeah, let's get one. So we got one. This is like granola eater carrot cake. And so every time I eat a slice, like within an hour, I am running to the bathroom.
Good God.
It's like fibrous. It's insane how much raisins and carrots are in this thing. It's crazy.
Jeez.
And I'm thinking, was this like one of these organic farm to table kind of cakes where there's like no preservative type cakes where it's like all natural organic made by Hoopa Indians somewhere in the valley, and I don't know, because every time, and I'm like, I look at it and go, God, it's so good, but I can't. It's like eating a bran muffin.
I don't understand how people. Okay, so we may have talked about this in the past, but I just want to talk about it a little bit about it right now.
Okay.
So recently on House Hunters,
Love it.
so they do
Yes.
House Hunters like international. They do just the regular House Hunters. So recently they integrated House Hunters, Tiny House Nation.
Yes.
So have we talked about tiny houses?
No, but I do have my opinions on it.
So they recently profiled this family where Victor and I, we've talked about this before. We are fine if it's like a single person or like a couple, but we think it is absolutely cruel if a family has children.
Yeah.
Like, we think it's absolutely wrong. And so they profiled this family the other day. It was this couple.
To purposefully do it. I mean, if you're poor, you have to do it. But I mean, to go, we're downsizing. We want to spend more time with our family.
Yeah. And so this couple, they had 2 small children. They were like, the kids were like maybe 3 and 2.
Oh, okay.
And they got that tiny house was like in a Connex, like a big green, like the things they put on like shipyards.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And
Like a storage container.
basically, but the sides unfolded. And they all shared, it was like a bunk bed. So the bottom pulled out and then the top, the 2 kids slept on top.
Together?
Yes.
So-
and the parents slept on the bottom.
Is there... Okay, so no privacy.
No. And I'm like, is that even legal?
Are they under the impression that the children will not grow?
I don't know what these people. And then the mom, she wears like the little like bandana, and she's got her bangs like rockabilly style, and she wears the red lipstick, and she's like a big girl. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you people?
I don't get that at all.
What's wrong with you people?
And usually, if you get the backstory on it, they're generally like, well, we're gonna do this because my parents have 10 acres, and so we're gonna live on their acreage in our home, and this gives us an opportunity to own our own home. And I'm like, no.
They wanted to travel the U.S. and
with their children.
They were going to homeschool their kids, and I'm just like,
of course they are.
And I'm like, you can barely even move into a regular bathroom because you're so large, lady. I mean, it's just.
I've seen those couples where it's like, oh yeah, 800 square feet. Well, this is really roomy. This is really great. And it's like, yes, until someone has diarrhea. And then we'll see how roomy it is. Because that smell isn't going anywhere. It's rising to the top of your loft for hours. Daryl would be like, abso-fucking-lutely not. No. The privacy alone. I mean, half those bathrooms don't even have a wall. They're like open. Can you imagine?
So when Victor told me, and I'm just like, where are they? So I'm like, so they're all sleeping. Where's the parents sleeping? He says, well, they sleep on the bottom bunk that it pulls out. And I'm like, so there's no privacy. And he's like,
nope.
Well, he's like, no, there. He said it to me like condolenceably. He's like, well, no, there's not. And I'm just like, is that even legal? Because I instantly was just angered.
You're like,
I don't care what kind of hippy dippy bullshit you're into. If you are intimate and you just think your children are sleeping, that is wrong.
Well, it's not, and that, like I said, that whole quote unquote lifestyle, someone's gonna get sick of it in about 3 months, and they're gonna be like, this was a really poor choice. What were we thinking?
I think we have talked about this because I'm just like, this whole tiny house nation they call themselves, I'm like, this whole thing is gonna run itself out because I can't believe that all these people are going to be living in these tiny houses for the rest of their lives.
No, it's a phase.
And so what are they going to do with all these little tiny houses when they're done?
They're going to turn them back into what they were originally. Garbage containers, storage bins.
They're going to be just end up being playhouses in people's backyards for their kids.
They're going to be it's going to be the fort. It's like, remember when we lived in this?
Oh, this is Grandma's house. Oh, what is it? It's my tree house now.
Yeah, now I get to color in here.
I know, right?
That's so funny.
Remember that time we had Thanksgiving in here, Grandma? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I really, really remember that. All right, well, let's go ahead and get to our ugly and awkward moment of the week.
Okay, so the other night we were driving back. We had visited some family kind of far away. So it took us a while to drive home. So we had stopped at a gas station and we were going to go inside and get a snack. When we got in there, though, there was nobody at the register. And so we were just walking around the store to, get our snacks or whatever. And someone came walking out from the back. And so I thought it was, the cashier guy or whatever. I'm like, hello. I'm like, how are you? And he's like, fine, thanks. And so he kind of kept walking and then he walked out the front door.
You're like, excuse me.
And I was just like, okay. I'm like, that's weird. I don't know what's going on. Then the next thing I know, another guy comes out. Then he goes and stands behind the register.
Oh.
And so I looked down and that other guy got in his car and he drove off. Sorry.
You're like, oops. That's like when a waiter comes by the table and they're behind me and they go, hello, how are you? And I'm like, hi. And I'm like, oh, wrong person. Sorry, you're talking to the people behind me.
So the guy had actually just come out from using the bathroom. Because the bathroom and like the back area were in the same areas. So I thought he was the cashier, but
I thought you were an employee.
Apparently he was just someone using the restroom. But he was just, what was he supposed to do? I'm like, hi. I'm like, how are you? And he's like, oh, fine, thanks. So
I'd be like, did you know that guy? That would have been embarrassing.
I felt like an idiot.
Well,
He probably was just like, wow, that girl was really friendly.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. He's like, wow, this is a really nice town. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe he was going to think about moving there, and now he's going to move there because of the friendly folk at the convenience store.
That was the nicest Chevron I've ever been to.
Yeah, no kidding. That's funny. That's a good one, actually. Okay, so mine is awkward. I hadn't been to the hair salon since before the wedding, the nappy wedding. And so because I'm now a snob.
So your hair was nappy, you could say?
Yeah. Haha. Now that I'm a hair snob, I change my color according to the seasons.
Yes.
And so I have summer hair and I have winter hair. And so now we're getting into spring. So it's time to begin the process of summer hair.
Right.
And so I went in, and this time we're just lightening the base. And then when I go back in April, we'll do the highlights.
Right.
And so it's exciting. I'm not going super blonde, but I'm going much lighter for sure for the summer. But anyway, so sometimes what happens to me is I get really self-conscious at the hair salon, and I don't know why. It's self-imposed. No one does anything to me to make me feel uncomfortable. I'm very okay with who I am. I know who I am. I am not his normal clientele. His normal clientele is extremely wealthy, older. It is what it is. Whatever.
Well, I mean, you don't know who all his clientele is.
I don't,
but he could have some normal people.
Yeah, me.
That's what I mean.
me.
But there could be other normal folks.
There are, but when I'm in there, they're not.
Oh.
They're generally they're very well to do, which is fine.
They're Sacramento's finest, whatever that is.
You know what? Some of them fly in. I've seen some clients fly in from New York to have their hair done.
Shut
LA.
up, really?
No. Oh, yeah. He's got a
Dang.
lovely reputation. He's really, really good.
Wow.
And I'm very grateful that he, didn't cut me out, because he had actually slimmed down his clientele about a year ago, and we made the cut, thank God.
No pun intended.
Exactly. Actually, that was a happy accident. So anyway, my point is that sometimes when I get there, I start thinking of a million things, and so I get really quiet. And so this time, I don't remember even what I was thinking about, but he's cutting my hair, and I am making... I'm making a lot of faces.
Oh, God, Jamie.
Because I'm thinking. And so it's like my brow is furrowing, my mouth is closed, but I'm moving it around a lot. Not because I'm talking, but I'm really deeply in thought. And then he goes,
You're talking in your mind.
yes. And my eyes must have been doing some expressions or something, completely forgetting that there's a human being who's staring at me in a mirror while I'm doing all of this. I'm contorting completely, regardless of who can see.
God.
And all of a sudden he goes, interesting thing. And I go, yes. And he goes, do you realize that there are over 1 million facial expressions that the human face can make? And I'm like, no, I didn't know. He goes, yes.
Why? How many have I made?
So then instead of just going, wow, that's really interesting. Yeah. So then I go, yeah, Daryl said that he could actually do a coffee table book with the amount of expressions that I can do. And sometimes I just completely lose myself. I completely started explaining away my facial expressions, and he just was like, yeah, okay. But I'm like, no. And I said, no, seriously, it's crazy what I do. And so anyway, it was incredibly awkward. And I mean, it's even awkward trying to explain it to you. It was so awkward.
He just let you talk, though, right?
Oh, yeah. He just let me hang myself completely.
I hate that about guys. Guys always do that. They'll just let you, talk yourself into a shoebox.
I think what it was is that I was really inside myself. I was totally not paying attention. And I think he was just trying to find a way to converse, because he is a social. I mean, I only see him once every 2 months, basically. So,
It's not like he's, some Thailand nail salon
No.
where, there's a language barrier.
Exactly. He's very... Yeah, there's none of that.
You don't have to sit there and worry about whether he's talking about you behind your back or not. I mean,
I can hear him when he does.
He's
Totally.
having a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's like, no, he can talk shit about me. I can understand every word he's saying. So, yeah, it's no problem. But
How
anyway,
funny.
It was a little awkward, but I'm going to give you the win this week.
Sweet.
Yeah.
tucking into the stranger and asking him how he was.
Hello,
So-
how are you? It's like, oh, she's so friendly.
That
That's
was
funny.
so funny. It was funny. When it was just, it was so natural too, because I've just assumed that he worked there. And then when he walked out the door, I was like, where's he going? That's so weird.
That is so funny. You're like, that's odd. Maybe
So
he-
oblivious.
Whatever.
So oblivious.
Okay, so 10,000 points. Paula wins again. Woohoo! She's bringing it. Finally bringing it.
I am on the upswing. Hopefully I will
goodness.
continue on with the awkwardness. So
Yes.
we mentioned briefly about St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Hopefully you are recovered, but some of you may still be hungover.
Yeah, well,
and
the
so
weekend.
I have dug up some fun facts about St. Patrick's Day, and we're going to quiz you guys on them to see how well you know about your Irish heritage.
All right.
The reason I mention Irish heritage is Jamie and I, we do have some Irish in us.
Yes.
I would say, what are we? About a quarter Irish?
Well, yeah, we're more Scot than Irish, but if the past is any indicator, I did some research on our family lines a long time ago, and our grandmother's surname was Maxwell, and that was her married name. And so when I looked at it, where the boundary lies between Scotland and Ireland, the clan that we're genetically from literally is along the borderline of some river, and it's like we could literally be either.
Go figure, huh?
I know, right? And so I would say that we're 50% Mexican, and then the other 50% is Swedish and Irish.
Okay, so interesting tidbit. Did you actually know there are more Irishmen and women in the United States than there are actually in Ireland?
No, that's interesting.
There are actually 34 million American that have Irish ancestry that are pure blood Irish than there are actually in Ireland. And the reason being is during the 19th century, there was a large amount of immigration to the United States because of potato farming famine.
Yeah, the potato famine. Mhm.
And so that actually continued all the way up until the 1990s.
Interesting.
That is why there are more technically Irish in the United States than there is in Ireland.
Wow.
So as far as St. Patrick's Day celebrations, biggest parade, I'll let you try and guess. Where do you think the biggest parade is held in the United States?
Chicago.
That comes in second place.
Boston.
That also comes in second place.
New York?
New York is the number one parade. They have over 2 million marchers every year. The first parade took place in 1762, and they've had a parade every year since then. It was started by Irish soldiers who were serving in the English military.
Oh,
And then,
that's interesting.
And then now they have, like I said, the largest parade to date. So you're a big Guinness drinker, right?
I am.
So on St. Patrick's Day, it said that 13 million pints will be consumed globally on St. Patrick's Day
Of Guinness?
of Guinness.
Interesting. You know, the best Guinness I ever had was I went down to LA to visit my friend Leslie Lanigan, who is pure Irish.
Did you do an Irish car bomb?
No. We went to her favorite pub. I can't think of the name of it right now. But anyway.
Probably
went to-
O'Malley's or something.
It was O'Malley's.
Yep, of
and
course
so
it was.
went to the pub and had Guinness on tap, and the bartenders were all Irish. Most of them directly from Ireland, and it was one of the best Guinnesses I have ever had in my life. It tasted so good because there's a way to pour. Just like Stella, there's a way to pour a Guinness. They have the special glasses for it. It was incredibly delicious. And then I was just absolutely hooked.
Cool.
So delicious. Yes.
So corned beef and cabbage. Do you know why the Irish like corned beef and cabbage?
Well, it's cheap.
That's exactly why.
I was gonna
That
say,
is
it's
exactly
cheap.
why.
Yeah.
So the Irish, when they came over to the United States, before they came over, their preferred meat of choice was actually pork. But when they came over to the United States, pork was really expensive.
Right.
So when they were here, they were housed with other immigrants like the Jews and the Italians. And so they picked up some kind of tricks of the trade as far as meat curing and et cetera.
Yeah.
And so they learned from the Jews, because Jews don't eat pork,
Right.
how to cure beef and make it taste really flavorful. And so it kind of tasted like pork. That's where they got the corned beef. And then they threw in the potatoes because potatoes were cheap, and that's what they liked. And then the cabbage was just kind of a extra, like, hey, this doesn't suck and it's cheap too. And so the dish itself took off because it was all in one pot that they could make, and it was inexpensive. And so they kind of coined that dish.
I make corned beef and cabbage. I put a beer in it with cabbage, and I do it super traditional, and Daryl can literally eat it all. It's so good.
I just buy the package and like cut it open and then.
Yeah.
But I don't use the little packet, the seasoning packet.
Oh, you should. Throw it in there. And then add a little bit more, and then add a bottle of beer, and it's really delicious. And little baby white potatoes or red potatoes.
It's good.
It's my favorite thing. That and the Guinness. Daryl's brother had his favorite holiday is St. Patrick's Day. So we've been to his house for some gatherings. Mm-hmm. Those things can get out of control. I think St. Patrick's Day parties are probably more boisterous than even New Year's Eve or any of those other holidays that require drinking.
It's actually the third ranked most celebrated holiday.
Well, that's interesting, but I think the alcohol consumption is probably higher.
As far as I think, actually I was reading, as far as alcohol is concerned, it's the third ranked most celebrated holiday.
Besides what? My birthday and Christmas, or?
No, I think they were saying like, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and then St. Patrick's Day. They said the average person will spend around $35 on St. Patrick's Day.
That's not that bad.
That's kind of a lot, though, considering it's a holiday for really nothing.
Plastic beads aren't very expensive, so.
All I can think about, though, is with the corned beef, the cabbage, the beer, the potatoes, I'm just like, that is so much. Do you know how much gas that is? Like, the Irish must be very gassy people.
Well, I think your stomach gets accustomed to it because I don't seem to have a problem with it. But Daryl's like, I'm only going to eat a little bit of this cabbage because I would like to have sex tonight. And I know if I don't, I will not be sleeping in bed with you.
God, I just can only imagine. That's every time I see the Fighting Irish, I'm just like, God, this must be like a fart fest.
Right?
Every time you get punched in the stomach, I can only imagine what happens.
It's so true. It is true.
So those are your fun little Irish facts. Hopefully you feel more equipped to talk about the Irish next time it comes up.
You might want to, you wee little one.
Of course, now every time someone says Irish, I think of Conor McGregor.
Well, I don't want to get into it again.
No. I thought it was fine, actually.
It was fine. I don't want to get into the debate again, is what I'm saying.
No, there's nothing to debate. You know what? He is the epitome of Irish.
Yes, he is.
You were right. Whenever you talk about those little posters of the fighting, it looks just like him.
One. I know.
He's got like a complete and total 100% Irishman.
Yes, he is. That is for sure. And Diaz is about as Mexican as you're going to get.
No, he's about as Stockton as you're going to get.
Well, that is true too, actually.
I wouldn't even put him up there with Mexicans. He's just Stockton. So,
right. All right. Well, I think we should wrap it up. We're going to cut it a little short this week because we're going to give producer Deb a little bit of a break since he's got to edit this on the road. So go ahead.
Yes. So that's a wrap for this week. Thank you, everyone, for following and purchasing on our links and all that you do. You're fabulous. We appreciate you very much. Be sure to check us out if you haven't already on our Facebook and Twitter, and our uglytruth.com website, where you can follow our shopping links like we mentioned. And other than that, we hope you have a fabulous week. Hope you had a good St. Patrick's Day.
Little man, when you stand by my side. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes.
And welcome to spring.
Woohoo!
So hopefully you do something springy. Go plant something.
Go plant something.
Go plant a tomato.
Go do something springish.
Spring into spring, my friends.
Hippity hop.
Bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap. But make sure to watch your podcast feed for all the screw-ups and edits from this episode and what we call Ugly Cuts. And then we'll have a brand new full episode for you next week. Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.